Hello and welcome to the Sunday Pulse. We're on this camera. Brilliant. Awesome. Guys, welcome to the Sunday Pulse. Today is April 5th, 2013, and on this day in StarCraft II history, we're now on this camera. IPL 4 was going on. It was only a year ago where Alive made an epic run all the way to the finals where he was challenged by Squirtle in 2 best-of-5s. Squirtle would win the first one 3-2, but Alive with 3-0, and the tournament was going really late, but the fans were abuzz with all the great StarCraft II action. Alive took home $40,000 in prize cash. We have a really cool show today for you guys. We're going to be doing another roundtable rapid-fire discussion show where we throw out news topics, questions, and we're going to have a battle between the contestants of wit and articulation. Tonight's topics include players in Korea like Subie and Phoenix, the return of Pro League, GSL, GSTL, and what on earth is going on with WCS and Blizzard. Of course, wrapping up the night will be Frodan's final fun fact frenzy. It's a real thing. And it's going to be an awesome opportunity for contestants to win the prize. Of course, the contestants tonight are none other than Ben, MrBitter Nickel, as well as Kevin, #2 ranked Fantasy Pro League player worldwide, RotterdaM Van der Kooi. How do you like that title, Kev?
I like it. It's just a matter of time before it's #1, though. Like, the first guy, he did a really good job. I think he kind of, like, hacked my account, looked into my lineup, did pretty much the same thing, and then just, like, put everything on the first play day, so hoping he get an early lead. But this is just a matter of time, Ben.
I think the truth needs to come out. You need to thank Dan and me for building your Pro League team for you.
No.
Because just last week you were carrying on. Ben, seeing is believing.
Yes.
Bisu, I've heard all this, but seeing is believing. And sure enough, there's Bisu on the fantasy team. And
all this jealousy and envy coming from my enemies.
Who's enemies here? We're all friends here.
No, you're enemies in my fantasy Pro League.
We're going to talk about fantasy later tonight, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, for those of you who may be watching the show this week and didn't catch last week, we're going to be issuing out points throughout the rest of the night based off of how well they argue, how well they're able to say everything within a concise time limit. We're going to have 30 seconds to 1 minute to discuss everything, and maybe even how good they look. Tonight, I think, Ben, I like your shirt a little bit more than Kev, so Ben's going to start off with 10 extra points. Why not? 10 is going to be where Ben starts off of. Bravo. But you know what? There's plenty of points to be made.
That's fine, Dan. Tonight we're going to Vegas and might like your shirt a little bit less, so the rest is going to get free drinks. And you're not.
Man, and the real winner is me because I get points and free drinks.
Fair enough. The beginning of the show, we're going to go on the wire where we're going to be covering lots of news, headlines, and topics, where then we're going to go to Blank My Life, which is a new segment that we're going to be doing, which is really fun. I'm going to throw out a scenario or a question, and you guys will fill it in based off your own opinion and creativity. And then we're going to go to Take a Stand, which is a contested, hot debate round. And in Take a Stand, we're going to be covering WCS, which I know a lot of people are anxiously waiting to hear what we have to say, particularly because WCS directly involves us. After that will be trivia, and that will be the show. I'm really excited. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, balance ones before we start the game?
Don't like your shirt.
I think it's a fine shirt, Dan.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. 20 points for Ben. Let's put it on the record here. All right, let's go on the wire and discuss the headlines around the StarCraft II universe, beginning with the first story that Evil Geniuses has announced that one of their players will be entering the hyperbolic time chamber. That's right. This summer, Conan Subie Liu will travel across the eastern seaboard and hone his StarCraft II skills. Subie will spend his summer dedicated as a full-time pro gamer. As a part-time pro thus far, Subie has managed to place top 8 in the BWC, place as the highest NA player in MLG Fall Championship, and win the NASL Gauntlet, which was a heated King of the Hill, if I do so say myself. My question to you guys, 30 seconds, is that where does Subie currently rank in North America? Does he place top 5? And if he goes to Korea, will that launch him into the upper echelons of players? Kev, let's begin with you, 30 seconds on the wire.
He's definitely among my best 5 North American Zergs. I wouldn't put him top 5 overall, even though he's really close, man. He's had a couple of really good results already. I love how he carried his team to the Collegiate Star League. I think that was awesome. He's a great guy, and I really think that Korea might give him that extra boost that he needs to perhaps be a more consistent player, because he had those great runs at BWC, but we always kind of feel like, that's just every now and then. So yeah, I think he's going to do fine, and I would love to see him in Korea. I think it's going to be awesome, and I think he will be top 5 NA.
Oh, I think it's a very concise way to put it. Ben, what do you think?
I think easily he's top 5 in North America, right behind Scarlet. It's hard for me to put him ahead of Vibe because Vibe does have the WCS results that really speak for themselves. But Subie has just been a consistent performer for the Evil Geniuses, played great at the Battle.net World Championships. And I put him in the same league as the Scarlets, the Nurchios, the Stefanos of the world. He's not at that exact level yet, but I do feel like after some time in Korea, we're going to see Subie reaching that level, maybe even surpassing that level. We know he's a workhorse, and we know he's going to get really good.
Cool, and that's pretty much what we're going to do. We're going to try to move past the news a little bit faster so we can get to the more fun discussion points. Our second story, we're talking about players in Korea. Why not a player that's returned after a long hiatus? As, I'm going to mess this up, man. Giancarlo Morayo Alejo, aka Phoenix, has announced his return to LGIM due to acute tendinitis. Phoenix's last appearance was BWC, where he placed 17th to 24th. Currently, the Peruvian WCS champion and former Fnatic member. He was once an IEM champion and a DreamHack second runner-up, but that was a long time ago. Will Phoenix be relevant again? Ben, what do you think? 30 seconds.
Man, I love the Phoenix announcement. He was like, "Hi guys, you might remember me. I'm LGIM Phoenix," and I thought that was so funny because he's announcing that he's coming out of retirement, he's coming back, and all I could think of would be like the LGIM coach sitting there reading the news one day. LGIM Phoenix, who? You know, it's like, who is this guy? I remember Phoenix from the MLGs and from that one IEM win that he did manage to chalk up. Back then, he was good, but he was just like as good as the other top North American players. I don't think this announcement really carries much water. I don't expect to see much from Phoenix. I would love to be proven wrong, but at the end of the day, he's just another Western player who can't really cut it in Korea.
Kev, what do you think?
I'm going to have to agree with Ben on this one, even though I do remember that tournament as well. I think he beat QXC back then in the final. Hawk was top 4. The Gun Run was even commentating that tournament. That was really funny if you think back of it. And that DreamHack run was pretty cool, but back then there were barely any Koreans. I think just Top and this other guy, Inca, went to DreamHack. So despite that being a really good result, it's so long ago. It's basically right now saying like any guy that was extremely good in beta, hey guys, here I am. So I'm afraid that Phoenix won't do all that good. At BWC, he did manage to beat Zok, if I recall correctly, but he lost to Illusion twice. So I don't know. I'm afraid that it's not going to have a major impact on the foreign or the Korean scene for that matter. And yeah, I wonder what the.
I'm sure he'll compete in Latin America.
Yeah, I don't think Yoda is too worried about his spot in the main lineup.
Somewhere Killer's like, man, I got to practice my verse Terran.
I think like Yoda and MVP are like, do you think we have to worry? Let's skip practice today. I think we're good.
I think it'd definitely be cool to see Phoenix do really well, but he does have a great practice environment, like you guys said, at LGIM. Speaking of LGIM, they have picked up yet another sponsor. It seems like every week or so there's a new sponsor for this team. Now they are sponsored by Kingston HyperX. Now, critics have been saying that ESF will eventually die out to Kespa in the long run because Kespa has more money, they have more organizations backing them. But is LGIM that one exception that does it right? Is it fair to compare them to a team like EG that, at least in terms of the Korean model, LGIM is doing things correctly? What do you think, Kev?
Well, I don't have all the insight in the Korean scene, so I can't really speak for all the teams. It's needless to say that LGIM is definitely doing things right. Not only do they have the insane amount of star power, they also try to market their players pretty well. They can still do a much better job at it, but they're already doing a really good job. They're reaching out to the community. That's what we love to see. But I think it goes too far to say that they are the only team that's doing it right, because we don't know what Red Bull does with StarTale and the other way around. I think StarTale is a great team too, and I'm pretty sure there's always a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So I can't speak for everyone, but they are on the right track.
Yeah, Red Bull's throwing their players out of planes, man. How can you?
Man, actually, that could like be.
That's definitely a good way to thin out the roster. It's like, oh, have fun, and there's no parachute with them. It's just like, guys.
Man, if that like the title of the news these days, like Bomber jumps out of an airplane, that could get received rather wrong. That could escalate really quickly. It's like, oh, Bomber out of airplane.
That was funny, Kev. Plus 20 points. Ben, what do you think?
First of all, I want to say that if we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, I think that really speaks to the fact that these teams are doing it wrong. If you're trying to market your players, then we should see that. That should be very evident to us as fans and as spectators of the esports community. Is LGIM the EG of the Korean ESF teams? Absolutely not. EG, their business is marketing their players and building up those personalities. They've got a stranglehold on that streaming market. We see the EG guys every single day.
Every day.
That is not the LGIM business model. LGIM creates champions. EG creates personalities. In the past 3 years, LGIM has 11 victories in major tournaments, 6 second-place finishes, 7 more top 4s, and so many more accolades to their credit. They are not EG. They are far stronger than EG in the player development department, and they're not a marketing company.
All right, well, Ben, it seems like you have so much extra knowledge on LGIM's background. I'm going to toss you a bonus question. Kev can steal if you don't get it right. How many of LGIM's sponsors can you name? This is not the trivia question for later, but can you name all their sponsors?
No, I can't name all their sponsors.
But do you think that's...
And I don't care to. That speaks to the fact that they're not marketing their sponsors appropriately.
Exactly. That's
How
pretty
many
much
of
the
the
answer I
EG
was looking
sponsors
for.
can you name?
Probably, I could probably get pretty close to all of them.
Go.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
So
We're doing a special round
And they
here.
have to be in the right order, you know, because yeah, that's important.
Monster,
Wrong.
Razor.
Whoa, who's our
Wrong.
title sponsor?
What, raid call?
Yes.
Well, who cares about order? I'm just naming off the
No,
ones
that's
that come
really
to mind.
important.
Because
Title
every time I
sponsor.
see an EG player, I see that freaking monster drink right there beside their face, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, that's
Come
the
on,
primary
it's
sponsor.
EGTL JYPRC, man. For those of you who don't know, LGIM has a very good sponsor list. It's LG, SteelSeries, Kingston HyperX, AS Rock, Coca-Cola. The list goes on. Go to team-im.com. Show your support for these guys. Our next story, we're talking about Korea. We're still going to be around there, is that Pro League has finally returned. Guys, I am so excited. Immediately off the bat, we had an intense series between KT Rolster and SK Telecom T1, going all the way to the ace match between Rain and Flash. Shout out to EGTL as well, as Jaedong was able to ace for his team following strong performances by newcomers Oz and Alive. Games will continue until Tuesday before the first week ends. I have been pining for Pro League to start, and I am loving it like a college white girl loves her Nutella. Guys, what are some of the big stories coming out of Pro League thus far, and which players have you guys been focusing on?
Dan, I'm glad you asked.
No, you're not gonna go there.
Oh, I'm going there.
Oh my God.
Hitman who? Hitman. Why is Hitman so good? Hitman. Check out this engagement from Hitman. Hitman don't care.
Nobody 6 pools like Hitman 6 pools. Hitman.
That was a Hitman. Hitman.
I cannot see him beating Hitman.
What? The Hitman.
Oh man.
So I gotta say, we've been
man.
saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks. KT Rolster, what's up?
I did not know you actually put that You told me you were going to do something special, man. I didn't know you were going to do that. Well played. You doubled up your points on that one, Ben. Kev, 30 seconds. What do you got?
Well, sometimes you say it best when you say nothing at all. If there's one thing that has really spoken to me so far, Dan, it's been
Coach Park! It took me a second to get that, man. How awesome is Coach Park, though? Speak to that for a little bit.
I mean, I can't say what he did for the players, but the way that I look at him, I think he's extremely awesome. We had so much fun joking about Coach Park last night, in a good way, of course, though, guys. But yeah, I really think so far the #1 story out of Pro League, without a doubt, EGTL beating the Woojing Stars. Come on, the team that's in 8th place defeats the team that's 1st place. They were on a 16-game losing streak. Defeating Woojing Stars, I think, is super impressive. And if even Coach Park almost cracks a smile, you know you're doing it. You know you're doing it right.
Even high-five Jaedong, man. I was like, whoa.
And I love the emotion of Jaedong as well when he was winning. He was like such a happy kid. He's like, yes. I think everyone who was watching is like, oh, that's so cool. No, I'm really loving it. That's definitely the biggest story so far.
It's been awesome to see that the players are talking about like how HOTS is basically like their rookie years because they're so excited. They want to prove themselves in a new game, and they didn't really get a chance to prove themselves in Wings of Liberty to the fullest because they came so late. HOTS is a new game, and I want to ask you guys, what are some of the players you are really focusing on for round 4, even going into Heart of the Storm expansion now that Pro League has begun? Ben.
You know, Dan, I'm glad you asked.
No!
No, really, roll it.
No, not again.
Okay, all right, we don't have to roll it, but I am loving what we saw out of Hitman. Can we look back at the game he played against Sue? Right, that was brilliance. Oh wait, and it's playing again.
Hitman don't care. Nobody 6 pools.
So Hitman's playing some really good StarCraft, man. They're playing on what's the city? Core Hall, floating city,
floating island,
whatever that ridiculous map is. When you see the kind of on-the-fly decision making that Hitman was making,
metagame breaking,
high-level decision making.
You're the one pulling out the rhymes, man, not me.
That's right. Delicious cake skills he's baking.
All right, Ben, you can only oversaturate your answers so much. Only 10 points. Kev, who are some of the players you're focusing on?
I mean, I'm obviously focusing on the guys that I've been watching in the past as well. I love watching Rain, so I will always focus on him, and he's been coming through big time as well, defeating Flash in the Ace match. But obviously, I was really curious to see how are Oz and Alive going to perform. And man, Oz winning his PvP, that's really great news for EGTL, and he played a solid game, no doubt. One or two minor flaws, like I think he reacted a little bit too late to that forced talk, but other than that, Oz played a great game, but it's kind of what I expected from Oz. Alive was a bigger question mark for me, and Ben kind of made fun of Alive last week, and I said, well, we will see. And I think Alive played so freaking good last night on Whirlwind. I was really, really impressed by his multitasking. He looked quick, he looked up to par with the guy who was playing. I was blown away, man. Jaw-dropping good play, and I was really, really happy to see that.
Yeah,
absolutely. You want to follow up on
that?
Yeah,
I just want to, I'm not trying to even debate. I just want to discuss for just a second, like the positive response that EGTL seems to be making to Coach Park. You guys already touched on that a little bit. But these Korean players seem to be responding well under that proper leadership that we can pretty much agree EG has been lacking. Alex Garfield came on the show and said so just a couple of weeks ago. I think that it's still early to say it, but if those players can go from what we saw at the end of round 3 to what we're seeing here at the beginning of round 4, man, could we really see that miracle run to EGTL in the playoffs?
Yeah, well, maybe, Ben, maybe, and I'm really excited to see it. Definitely, guys, if you haven't had an opportunity, check out Pro League. You can watch all their stuff at twitch.tv/SC2Pro League or youtube.com/esportstv. It's going to be playing even tonight, and as well as tomorrow night, some matches are going to be happening. Definitely check it out. But, guys, we're here also to discuss something that RotterdaM is really excited for, Fantasy Pro League. Now, this is something that I've been trying to introduce these guys last season of Pro League, which is the previous round, and they finally had one season of experience, but then this round they went all out. Let's talk about your Fantasy Pro League teams and talk about some of the successes as well as the failures, maybe the reason behind the picks. Let's begin with Ben.
Sure.
Ben, how did your Pro League team come about?
Let's can we bring up the graphic, because I want to read through it along with you guys so that we can all sort of see it together. There's my team. That's a out-of-date graphic, unfortunately. I don't have Free on my team. I alternated Free for Argo.
Why didn't you have Hitman as your captain, man?
You know,
He's your point. He's the point difference maker. If you're tied with somebody, your captain determines your points.
The truth is, I don't think it makes much of a difference. I'm not going to get rid of Hitman. He's very clearly there on the team. I picked up Bisu because I was singing his praises last week. I love Bisu. Crazy Hydra is not on my team anymore. I got rid of him for somebody else. This is just an unfortunate. You know what? I'll pull it up on my screen so you guys can see my team.
Okay, cool. Let's visit Kev's graphic real quick, and then we'll come back to you, Ben. Kev, explain your rationale behind your Pro League now that you have hindsight as well as apparently some foresight.
Well, all right. Sometimes then I think everything speaks for itself, but let me go through it. Argo, I actually had him on my team already last season. I thought he was really good, even though last season didn't score all the points. I heard good things about him, and I definitely heard that he's been doing really well in the in-house games as well. So I picked Argo. He was pretty cheap on the team, so I was like, all right, you know what? Last season I loved this play. He didn't win all of his games, but I thought it seemed like a solid pick. Bisu was ridiculously cheap, and I didn't have him on my team first, but after they posted the lineups for week 1, I was like, well, if Bisu is going to play, I might as well just get him. It's only 2 points. No biggie. I had a lot of points left, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all out. I'm going to get innovation. In my opinion, the best Terran player in the world.
Really?
Yes, of course I have Rain as my captain because, hey, you guys know how much I love Rain. If I watch Rain play, I'm just always extremely blown away by his play. So that was a no-brainer for me. That was just like, I get Rain first and the rest of my team I build around Rain. That's how it goes. He's the MVP. Jaedong was really cheap as well, and I really thought, like, you know what, maybe with Coach Park, maybe EGTL is going to do better. If they are going to do better, Jaedong is definitely going to be one of the front guys of them. So I figured it made sense to get him on my team. And last, I really loved his play at MLG, so I was like, you know what, I squeeze him in. And for the team, you know what, I didn't have many points left on that moment, so I was like, I believe in EGTL. They might not win all their games, but I did believe they were going to do so much better than before. They were the cheapest team out there. I was like, you know what, bomb, EGTL. And you know what? And you know what happened then? You know what happened.
I know what happened. Coach Bark happened. Ben, have you finally pulled your team?
My
'Cause
team's
I'm
up
about to dock you
on the
some
screen
points
here
for delay.
because it's all good. Actually, we've got quite a few similarities, Kevin and I. I'm convinced that he picked up Bisu because of my riveting speech last week. I took Argo after we were, as a group, discussing how Major said he played in in-house games over in Korea. He won something like 24-3, and so I immediately made the change, got Argo on the team. I agree with Kevin about innovation. I think that he is... if he's not the best Terran in the world, he's the second best Terran in the world, right behind Flash. I've always been a big fan of Baby ever since back in the Brood War days. I'm a big believer. Hitman, of course, speaks for himself. And Effort, I think, is a Zerg player that will continue to improve and played well at the end of the last round, so I think we're going to see more good stuff out of him.
One of the reasons why I got...
Yeah, you had so much time to speak already, man. What more do you want to say?
I just want to squeeze in that, like, one more reason why I got Bisu as well. Yes, he was playing, but it's also nice to have him on SKT1 because I do think that SKT1 has a ridiculously stacked roster right now. So getting Bisu on the team is always additional points.
Strong final point to wrap up that section of the news. And again, I completely agree. I have a pretty good Fantasy Pro League team, but Kev is ranked number 2 worldwide right now. Let's see how well he can do. We'll check in again next week. That comes to our last story of the On the Wire, guys. This one's a really big one, and I know Ben and Kev are very excited to say. With the gigantic news bomb in Korea earlier this week, Blizzard has been swarming to prepare things for their first season of WCS. The hype behind this $1.6 million Tri-League system has been astronomical as fans eagerly await to see more regional competition to inspire local heroes. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In an interview with PC Gamer, Mike Morheim and Itzik Ben Bassat stated that their intent is to create a storyline that's much easier to follow, but they also capped it off with saying, quote, "We were told the other day that by the numbers, StarCraft is bigger than the National Hockey League. If you look at the last month, MLG Dallas had record-breaking concurrent viewers, and even Heart of the Swarm release was really successful with high viewership numbers. The numbers this year are double the numbers of last year, and we hope to see this trend continuing." Ben, Kev, what in the name of Flash is actually happening here? StarCraft is one of the biggest games in the world, but the National Hockey League is the premier sports association. Is this statement true? Let's start off with you, Ben.
All right. So nobody wants StarCraft to be bigger than the NHL than I do. I would love for us to be one of the leading entertainment mediums in the world. The fact is we're not, and especially Blizzard has a responsibility to accurately represent where we actually stand. That statistic comes from total hours of content consumed, and you just cannot make that comparison. What you should really look at is the amount of money that's being generated by our scene. Are our teams profitable? Are our tournament organizers making cash? If you look at the NHL, there is a lot of money being thrown around. And I'm going to talk right through this buzzer because I've got a soapbox to stand on. In 2012-2013, the NHL hosted 273,000 fans at live events. At live events, that is not counting the people that tune in. Those are 273,000 people that bought tickets and that spent money on concessions and that were investing into the NHL. That generates revenue. According to Forbes, the average NHL team is worth $282 million. That is the average team. That is the mid-tier team. Those are the what is a mid-tier? Those are the Fanatics and the MYMs and are those higher tier teams?
No, he's talking about mid-tier teams in eSports.
Well, Fnatic is not. Fnatic is not really a mid-tier team. Fnatic is one of the biggest.
Okay, so is Fnatic worth $282 million? Is one of the biggest? Absolutely, they are not. The richest team in the NHL is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Last year, they profited $81 million.
So bad.
By contrast, the poorest team in the NHL lost. They were negative $10 million. $10 million thrown away. If you gave me $10 million, I could sustain StarCraft II for 10 years easily. It is reported that NHL teams are valued today more highly than they ever have been, and 6 years back, before they reached these high levels of value, you could sell one jersey and make $450,000. Stanley Cup tickets went on sale. They averaged $450 a ticket. Nobody in esports except for the developer is making money. And Blizzard is being irresponsible, walking around saying StarCraft is bigger than the NHL. Okay. Until we are all profiting, we're not even comparable.
Great start, Ben. Loved your facts. And you did go over time, but you know what? That's a really strong statement. I really want to hear what Kev has to say. And we'll shut off the timer, too, for Kev in this regard. Kev, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think that quote is just pulled out of context a little bit. I can imagine in maybe like 1 or 2 areas, like either if it's hours consumed, or maybe even like the reach worldwide, as in like how many countries watch a certain StarCraft game. Because I can imagine there are plenty of countries out there where the NHL is really not all that popular. Like hell, I've never met a Dutch person in my life who is watching the NHL, but I've met plenty of StarCraft fans, obviously. But overall, I really do not think that we're even in the same ball game. Like it's not even close. A couple of facts that just Ben said as well. Additional facts. It's like the average NHL game, and there are 1,200 games in the regular season. That's like freaking insane. Has 17,000 live attendees. I mean, if we get a crowd in like IM Katowice with 6,000 people, we're all, oh my god, this is the best crowd ever. Happens 1,200 times a season with 17,000 people in the stadium. Like you cannot even compare that. Or even like salaries. Like we are blown away. Like Parting gets $8,000 or $9,000 per month. That's really awesome, man. He's making so much money. The average salary in the NHL, and they have a players union with over like 600 players, is like 2.5 million. Guys like Crosby and Ovechkin get around 10 million per year. It's like, come on, you cannot even compare that. It's like, it's not even the same.
There's absolutely no comparison. And the most telling thing of all, we live in the middle of the desert. We live in the middle of the freaking desert out here. We went to a minor league hockey game in the middle of the desert a couple of weeks ago, and there were 13,000 live fans in attendance.
That's right, and it wasn't even half full.
If I can pack 13,000 live fans into a hockey game in the desert, but I cannot fill our Season 4 finals, are you really going to tell me that StarCraft is bigger than the NHL?
It's really funny that you actually mentioned that, and I'll close this up real quick because I didn't even know you were going to mention the Maple Leafs, but I took a picture of, I captured a picture. I wasn't actually there. I would love to go to a Maple Leafs game. But there's a picture of a crowd at the Maple Leafs stadium that we can pull up. And then I compared that to an MLG crowd, and then I compared it to the NASL Season 4 crowd. And I was like, where are we going with this, man? NHL is where we want to be.
Yes.
It's not that we surpassed them already. But that's all we're going to say on it. We're done with On the Wire, which means we're going to be doing a point check currently. Ben, you started off with really, really good Hitman montage and strong points. 450 points is more than adequate for that. That he did go over time. I'm going to allow that for now. Kev, 375, but I mean, if you made your own montage for Rain, you probably would have scored over 500. That's going to do it for round number 1 here on The Wire for Sunday Polls. When we come back, we go into round number 2, where we are going to fill in the blanks. We're going to imagine and use our creativity and put it to test. This is the Sunday Polls. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.